So we talked about rational exponents, and we talked about that whenever you have a to the power of a rational exponent, you can write it as a radical exponent, and vice versa, right? And if I want to write this in a radical exponent, what do I write it as? Go ahead.
A to the square root of n.
Root of, or the nth root, yeah. So I put the n in the root
To the power of m.
to the power of m. I can write it either this way, or I can write it as the nth root of a to the power of m. So it doesn't matter which way I write it, it works the same way. Okay? So if your exponent is a rational, okay, what you can do is you can put your denominator in the root, and then your numerator goes as your exponent. Okay? M has to be a positive integer. These are your conditions. N is a natural number, so that means n is a number that's greater than 0. And the other thing is that a has to be positive if n is even. So I can't, eyes on me for a second, I cannot take the square root or the fourth root or the sixth root of a negative number, right? I cannot do the fourth root of negative 125, right? It's an error. Does not work, right? You can't. This is the fourth root. You can take, so if A has to be positive if n is even. So if n is odd, A can be negative. Okay? But if n is even, so 2, 4, 6, whatever, then you can do you can take the square root of you can't take the square root of a negative number. Okay? Radical means the root. Rational means fraction. Okay? So remember this because I'll ask you to write it in a radical format, or I'll ask you to write it in a rational format. You need to know which form to write it. Okay? So this one says fraction using rational exponents. So how would I write that as a rational exponent? 20, no, you can't, I don't want the answer. I want to write it as a rational exponent. So what's my base? 25. And what's my exponent? What's the number here that we don't see?
1.
That's a 2.
Oh, 2, sorry.
That's a 2. So how would I write 25 to the power of? No, 1 over 2. Remember, square root is the same thing as 1 over 2. Right? Because remember, whatever goes in here is your denominator. How about this? How can I write it as a fraction?
Negative 125 to the power of 1 over 3.
So negative 125 to the power of 1 over 3. I put the negative 125 in bracket because the whole thing is under the radical. So the whole thing has to be under your fraction, under your exponent fraction. Okay, how about the next one?
1.05 cube over 1 over 4.
Yeah, Emily?
1.05 to the power of 3 over 4.
3 over 4. Okay? Because whatever expression in radical form and then evaluate. So they want you to write it first of all in radical form, and then you're going to evaluate. Yeah.
The square root of 81.
The square root of 81. Put your hand up if you want to answer. Hayden? 9. That's your answer. Okay, how would I write the second one? Yes, no.
Cube root of negative 64.
Yeah, the cube root of negative 64. And then what would that equal to?
Four.
Negative 4. 32 to the power of 4 over 5. How can I write that as a radical form?
The fifth root.
The fifth root.
32
Yeah.
to the power of 4.
Okay. And if I want to evaluate that, I can either enter it like this in the calculator, or I can enter 32 to the power of 4 over 5. Right? Make sure that your 4 over 5 is in bracket. Right? So you can enter it either way. What's the answer? 60. Which makes sense because the fifth root of 32, that's 2. 2 to the power of 4, that's 60. And here's the reason why I didn't want to leave this lesson with you. Okay? Is the next piece. Are we okay with this so far? So x to the power of 4 equals 16. They want you to solve for the unknown variable x. So they want you to find the value of x that satisfies this equation. What do I do?
The square root of 16.
Now, the square root would work if I have a square, because I have to the power of 4. The fourth root. Remember that in this case, because I'm looking for my base, I have to do opposite operation, right? And the opposite operation for power of 4 is the fourth root, correct? Okay, so if you had, let's say, x squared equals 81, how do you solve for this? What do? You do square root, both sides, right? Yeah? So now in this case, I have x to the power of 4 equals 16. What's the opposite of power of 4? Fourth root. Okay? So to solve for this, you're going to have to do the fourth root which gives me what? That's right, but we're going to stick only with the positive.
What? It was negative.
All right, now for the next one, I have x to the power of 3 over 2 equals negative 27. Yes.
Would you square root negative 27 first? Or no?
Why don't we write it in a radical format? Maybe a radical format would look nicer for you guys, no? Okay. So how would I write this in a radical format?
The
Square root of x to the power. Okay. So I haven't done anything, I just wrote it in a radical format. What's the first thing you want to get rid of? Square root, right? So how do you get rid of the square root? You square, right? Because the opposite of square root is square, right? So the first thing you're going to do here is you're going to square both sides, right? Because what happened is the square is going to get rid of the square root. Okay? And now I have x cubed equal the square root of, the square of negative 27.
So negative 27.
cube is equal to this. How can I find x?
You cube root it.
Cube root, right? So now I need to cube root. So that would be the cube root of negative 27 squared.
Would you still get the same answer if you square it first and then cube
Yeah.
it? Because that's easier for me.
Well, I want to show you something. That's why I didn't find it easy. Okay. Let's do something here. Write this final answer in rational format. What would that be in rational format? So if I'm going to write this as a rational format, what would that be?
Negative 27, 2 over 3.
To the power of 2 over 3, right? To the power of 2 over 3, yeah? Okay, compare x to the power of 3 over 2 equals negative 27 to my final answer. What do you see? It's flipped.
Is that going to happen in this one?
Yes, it is. Indeed. Okay, eyes on me for a second, please. I just want to take you back here for a second. So we said if it's x squared, we have to square root, right? Right? We've known that since, I don't know, 2 years ago, right? We know that to get rid of a square, I have to square root. Can you guys tell me what's the square root in rational? What's a square root if I want to write it in fraction? 1 over 2. So instead of like square rooting, I can write it as x squared to the power of 1 over 2, right? It's the same thing. These are the same thing, correct? Yeah? Now, 1 over 2 is the reciprocal of 2, right? 2 is actually 2 over 1, right? And then if I flip 2 over 1, it becomes 1 over 2. So if I have, I'm going to erase this, don't write this. If I have this, and I want to get rid of this, I have to raise it to the power of 3 over 2. But whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side, right? Because what happened here, 2 over 3 times 3 over 2, because power to the power, they multiply. 2 over 3 times 3 over 2, what is that? 2 over 3, yeah, times 3 over 2. That's 6 over 6, which is 1, right? So they cancel each other. Right? That's why we take, if we want to get rid of an exponent, we raise it to the reciprocal of that exponent. To the power of 3 over 2. Yeah, you got it. Right? Now, if you don't remember this, you can always write it in radical format and then do the multiple steps. Whatever is easier for you. Okay? I see people looking at me not 100% sure about what I'm saying. So you have two options. You either show me the steps and find your final answer, okay? Or you can right away, like I'm going to do for this question, you can right away raise it to the power of 3 over 2, because what happened here, 2 over 3 and 3 over 2, they're going to cancel each other, and then you're going to be left with x equals 64 to the power of 3 over 2, which is what is that? What is that? Huh? Okay. Or if you want to do it like we did in the previous question, go ahead. Okay? Try it. See if you're going to get the same answer.
You just flip it? That's it?
Yeah, that's it. Because opposite operation.
51 squared? What?
512. Does that make sense to you?
But if you do it that way, it's not
Exactly the same. Try it. Okay, let's look at this example. So under annual compounding, an initial investment of $700 grows to $900 in 5 years. An initial investment of $700 grows to $900 in 5 years. Determine the annual interest rate, I, using the compound formula. So they give you the formula. They want you to solve for I. 700 represents your initial amount,
So it's A? No, P.
P, and A represents your final amount, which is A. Okay? And then 5 years represents what letter? N. Okay? So your P, your principal, is $700. So this is how much money you put in. Your final amount is 900. And then you are looking, N is 5, and you're looking for I. Let's set it. So A is 900 equals P is 700. 1 plus I to the power of 5. What do you need to do in order to solve for your
Isolate.
isolate? How do you isolate? Opposite operation. What's the first thing that you want to do? 700? And how do you do that? When you move it, what do you move it as? Divide. Because there's a multiplication here, so that's going to be 900 divided by 7. Okay? What would be your next step? Square root?
Fifth root, sorry.
Fifth root. Right? Because I'm getting rid of the power of 5, right? So the opposite, it's not. The opposite of power of 5 is the fifth root. Right? Because they cancel each other. So can you guys find me the fifth root of 900 over 700? Make sure that you put the 900 over 700 in brackets. Or find 900 over 500 first.
So I did that like this. Yeah. She was calling because she didn't want us to get all. Sure. She didn't want to get stuck in table because it. I did the same. I did the exact same one. Yeah.
1.0515. 1.0515.